to be together with us. And today we have got very special person. We've got Mr. Ming Ang from Singapore. And if, ladies and gentlemen, you have actually kept up with this episode, and I would like to show my thanks and my gratitude to Ming, who has been so generous in sharing his story. And I would say that that would be a very significant part of his business journey. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, myself, I've started different companies, different businesses. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, as a driver of a business, your personal life and your business life, there's always this blurred area, right? You can't really segregate a personal life versus your business life because you bring your business back to your life. And that's where the challenge is, because you're really like eating, sleeping 24/7 about the business. It goes into your mind, it goes into your life. And I'm so glad that he actually shared that with the listeners and the viewers. And wherever you are, you don't have to be in Singapore. Wherever you are, you're tuned in from the US, from Mexico, India, Pakistan, where our co-hosts are, and Africa, where all our international a panel of guests who tune into the show also. We are actually sharing that part of our lives that it will also echo throughout the world, and especially so in this prolonged lockdown in pandemic, where people are facing different challenges: relationship challenge, personal challenge, mental challenge, challenge about your career, your job, and about businesses. So today I would like to welcome Ming Song. Thank him again from Singapore to join us on the 10 p.m. Prime time live cast on YouTube TV. Again, and I would like to have this little bit of conversation with Ming Song a little bit before we go into his topic. But in Singapore and in Asia, we are in a very reserved society. We are very in a reserved community because our culture, our way of life, our education teaches us to be stoic, teaches us to be people who face challenges in its face and not to veer away from it, and to face challenges silently, and not to talk about our difficulties, just in case it kind of like shows our weakness, our vulnerability. But really, that is not even part of our culture that talk about weakness. We just face it stoically. We just kind of look at it and then we just charge ahead. And it kind of become part and parcel of our psyche. It just becomes part and parcel of our lives. I mean, look at our parents. I'm very sure they faced a lot of difficulties in their life, but do they talk about it? I mean, Ming Song, would you have anything that you would like to echo on this point? And welcome to Singapore, and ladies and gentlemen, and that's Ming Song. Ming Song, would you like to say hello and also to echo that point?
Hi everyone, I'm Ming Song, and I heard lots of good things from Vicky about the response of what I shared last week. Hope that inspired someone out there, because I must have been inspired by someone out there as well while watching things like that. So I would like to just pay it forward by sharing my part of the story. And Vicky mentioned a little about not talking about our struggles and vulnerabilities. And that is actually one of the topics I wanted to share, kind of. And most of us would like to put up a steely front that we are the know-it-all, we can conquer everything, and we can do everything. That is exactly the opposite of what I've practiced, especially during these very trying times the last 1 year. I think authenticity is the name of the game these days. And when the pandemic hits, so many things are new. No one knows the better of what tomorrow will bring. No one knows everything about what we should do. But when you start to be authentic, you start to attract people to you. You start to have people believing in what you do. You start to have people acknowledging and getting into your base camp, and that, oh, okay, you don't know about this, maybe I know a little bit of that, let's try to work together.
Yeah.
And that's how you attract really really strong and good people,
Yeah.
whether be it in terms of my full-timers, in the side of people whom I work together, collaborators, people in the same industry. And best of all, with that mindset, I actually attract clients. Yeah,
Yeah.
I told clients that actually these are things that I've not done before.
Yeah.
They said, never mind. We know that. We know you're being honest with us. I know someone who can fill that gap for you. Can I link you up?
Yeah.
So imagine
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Just being honest and vulnerable. And another story is when clients ask us, can we take on so and so many additional projects that they want to pass on to us? And we said, let us assess our internal resources. And we gave the answer, no, I don't think we are able to. I think most businessmen would jump on and say, yeah, I can do everything. But I don't know. We practice what we preach. I think let's not take on too much things that we can't without doing a good job. And that, I think, earn the respect of the client for the long run. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Ming Song, I think that's a very important opening. And I think that's also one of the trademarks of a Singaporean uh, professional. I think, I think one of the trademark of professional, I would think that it is very important that we actually tell it as it is. Sometimes it's really hard, but sometimes I think that's the beauty of being I would say that that's the beauty of being honest, because you don't try to hide and then cover with the first and then second layer, and the third layer. But I'm very intrigued about your story last week, that you've gone through a very difficult pre-pandemic, then going into 2020, and then the story ends there. That is the hook to the listeners and the viewers. We want to know actually what went on in 2020, and then what's your plan for 2021. So for pivot in pandemic, that's your topic and that's your show. Give us some of these experiences you have, and some of these I'm very sure that the listeners and the viewers who are also business owners, they can actually take away adapted from a real life story, not from MBA. I mean, there's a lot of talk about nowadays, even from the ministers, that MBAs and structured schools is not enough already for you to face the world that is so dynamic and facing disruptions unannounced. The next day when you're sleeping, the world is just spinning around. I think classroom settings of education doesn't ensure you to survive or even thrive in the real world. And I think that would be so important, that this pandemic has shown us that, people are just, or people or businesses, you are just hit in the face out of nowhere, right? Nobody could have anticipated your what if scenarios. So I would think that this goes to show that classroom setting of education, it is a baseline. It serves the kind of a structured mindset of education. But what you're going to share with us in the next 40 minutes or so, I'm very sure they are real life takeaways for people to adapt, and for people to chew on, and for people to really think about what they're going through also. So I'm all ears for you about what happens in 2020, the journey, and also the pivots and the growth that you take your business on. Tell us about that, Ming Song. The floor is yours.
Okay, so I'll start off the results, and so that it gives you a perspective.
Yeah.
In the last 6 months, I hired 6 new people. That essentially doubled the headcount of my company. And there must be a reason why I'm hiring more people, lah. So that you get the sense of it. So what did I do right in 2020? I onboarded at least five new Fortune 500 companies, and those were clients that I did not service, or probably I had some interaction before, but they didn't sign us on, and I
Mm-hmm.
onboarded them as clients in 2020 itself. I probably have done more projects, taken on more projects around the region, around Southeast Asia, especially around parts of Asia, including Hong Kong, China, um, and some projects in the US. Although I'm just a small little Singaporean or Singapore company based here, and um, essentially in 2020, trust is the keyword. Um, we were trustworthy enough for people to hire us to project manage stuff that needs to be filmed in all parts of Asia and the world. And we must have done something right. And I guess I want to share a little bit about what I think we did right. Although I don't know that whether that's the case. That's everything right, but there must be some truth lah. We are doing well enough for things to be happening. I think the first thing is, like I earlier mentioned, acknowledging that you are not a know-it-all, acknowledging that there are things that you are not entirely sure, and be very open to your clients and not um, um, bullshit your way across and bulldoze your way across. And I think the like-minded uh, attracts. There must be some clients, or rather most of the clients that I attract, who value this, that we are authentic, we don't bullshit, and we are being very vulnerable right in front of them as well. Because it is true, no one knows it all these days, and so many things are happening and changing so fast. The minute you start to bullshit and says that you seem to know it all, people can smell it a mile away, and that's just not very savvy, right? In these days and age, we're going for a long haul. So what if you win something in the short haul? You get this over. You are going to cover one lie with 1,000 lies,
Mm. Yeah.
and I think that's just so tiring. Yeah. So how did I grow? How did I do this? Collaboration, I think, is the key. The first step, I think, again, is a mindset thing. I remember some years back, and this particular instance, our industry is not super big, and so is every other industry. If you are operate within your own circle, you would know quite a few folks. One of the folks that I had always considered my competitor,
Mm.
and everything that he says, whether on social media, or whether he uh, posts on Facebook, or on LinkedIn, or on YouTube, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
I could not see eye to eye. But I don't
Mm.
know why, when the pandemic hit,
Mm.
something happened to me that
Mm.
I said, okay, he's a fellow professional.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to be a little bit open. Let's open my heart, and
Mm.
let's reach out to him in a positive manner. Is there something we can help each other and to help the industry out?
Mm.
And I think that was the start of a beautiful thing. And I told you what I tell you what happened next. These are exact things that happened.
Yeah.
He then required some work to be done in Hong Kong, and I happen to have very close collaborative partners working in Hong Kong, um, and he got such a great work done, and clients were happy, and we began to find and formalize other areas to work with collaboratively. We began to share knowledge, although most people got their trade secrets like like something very very important. But we began to share things with each other, and that helped to accelerate some of our internal learnings. Yeah, because all it takes is someone to give you a different perspective, someone else also facing the same struggles, sharing the same struggles, and then with two different pair of heads, you actually come out with better solutions faster. Yeah. So I think the name of the game is to how do you look at your competitors and say, hey, I've been looking at you for way too long as a competitor. But when we go deep into it, we all have our own subset of specific clients that we serve. And we are not really competitors through and through. So reach out to one of those competitors you've been feeling that way, check in with them, and just ask, is there something I can do to help you? Yeah, I think that will open up the door to something beautiful. Initially, he or she may have their doubts. This person must have something up their sleeves, and trying to hoodwink or con you or something. But if you do it with genuine heart, I think people can tell. And it's time to help your industry further itself. Yeah, and collaboratively go out there and and I don't know, do something wonderful together.
And I think that's a very important point, and also a very important tip as the marketplace fractures. You're talking about pandemic whereby the market totally fractures out. It's unrecognizable. All the forces, you don't even know where they are. You don't even know where your customers are. Tell us a bit about. I'm really intrigued about your mindset. You did mention a big point about your competitor. Um, are they going to, what are they going to, on both sides, right? Competitors are human beings. We're really not robots. We're not AI. We come with our preconceptions. Either it's misconception or true conception. People come with preconceptions. And then to be someone who is a competitor, both of yourself, tell us that curve that you went through to establish from a competitive force and changing the competitive force to become a neutral force and then become a collaborative force. It must be some form of a curve. What went on in your mind and what were the efforts that you put in? Like what you say, like there was so much mistrust before, and then you go to the other end. It's really a huge jump. It's like crossing a very difficult chasm. Can you enlighten us on how to do that? And this is real, ladies and gentlemen. We are not talking about an MBA textbook. We're really talking about live case study that is really current. So listen up, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us, Ming Song.
So, Vicky, I think it's really very simple. Let's keep it really simple. All it takes is unlock yourself, take the key out of your heart, and just reach out genuinely with a simple text message or simple instant messenger or whichever you use, and just do it, and you'll be surprised. It isn't that hard at all. What's the worst that can happen if he or she replies negatively? What's the worst that can happen? Yeah,
Can I interject here?
please.
Okay, two things. Realistically, ego, pride, fear of rejection, right? And fear of the unknown. So these are things that, of course, we sound like really deep things, but you say that it doesn't matter. You can just go for. But how does one overcome it? For example, these are real things for a lot of people, like pride. I suppose in your case, you were the first one that actually reached out. I suppose you could see that he was actually not doing that well. Maybe you were thinking of giving him a helping hand. I don't know the situation, but the pride on both sides, reaching out means that it could also involve pride. The other side, receiving it also involves pride go, and it involves interpretation. And I'm glad you say that it is actually quite easy. Don't have to think so much. Just send a text and don't have rejection. But for people who take it hard, and I'm talking about people in a professional arena, that they can take things the other way, right? Even in friends, right? They take things differently. Tell us, in situations like this, how should we get out of that mode?
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. I think it is really um, take pride away, because how much is pride worth? We might go anytime. Like I'm sure many people around us have seen some of loved ones, some of our friends of friends actually do. I actually have one of my friend's parents actually contracted COVID, but thankfully she recovered. But these are real. These are things that actually happens around people, around our friends as well. So take it as if there is a time we could go anytime. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, and I think
Then not
I think
saying
you're
it.
right. Yeah, yeah, and I think you're right. I think even because of the pandemic, reaching out means a lot, and also looking at the big perspective, people are really, suffering out there, either in terms of economic situation, or suffering due to the pandemic. I think that puts life in perspective. Pride, um, fear of rejection and fear of the unknown. It kind of like uh, dims in the face of the reality of the bigger part of the picture. And I'm really intrigued because you said that, from a business perspective, let's go back to pivot in pandemic. When you talked about, you started off uh, really pre-pandemic, even at the beginning of 2020, towards the end of 2020, 2019 to the beginning of 2020, you were still that phase of trying to jack your business up. The missing piece is that, how did you reach to clients, or how did clients come to you? You did talk about networking in the past. The networking did help because there's some connection there, but there must be certain actions or tactical steps that you would have taken to be able to expand the business, the client base. Tell us about that, and then tell us about the recruitment and getting the right people on board.
Okay, I'll talk about a few things that we did right when pandemic hit and Singapore was in lockdown. We collated the clients' list, and we reach out to them and to say, here's some free things for you. No, nothing I need to get in return. We gave out very simple things, and that is exactly a Zoom background, just to make their Zoom meetings a little bit more fun. Yeah, we make customized Zoom backgrounds, and we reach out and say, hey, we would like to give you something free, totally no holds barred. Share it and let us know what we can do. Um, and the other thing that I did is I also reach out to many of my clients, again, not asking for business. I do have some clients in the space of events. They organize events, and this is a terrible stage as well, because all large scale stuff were cancelled and not allowed to be held. And I mentioned, yeah, it is the days, and you need to take on to handle virtual webinars, virtual meetings, and all this kind of stuff. Is there something I can share with you? Please do not think you need to pay me and hire me for it. I'm happy to just share whatever I can with you. And um, perhaps you might know someone else who is more suitable because of the the pricing, and it's okay. I'll be happy to share. Just without fear or favor, because we might be, example, too expensive in this context. And I think what I did right is kind of telling clients, it's okay, I have the knowledge, I know how to do all these things. You don't need to pay me for it. I'm happy to share with you. You can either do it yourself, you can hire someone who may be in worse shape and is therefore able and willing to do it for slightly cheaper rate than we do. But we're happy to share all this knowledge. Yeah, I think that is the one thing that we did differently. We actually rejected a lot of things that came along. Yeah.
I think that would be a very good tip for people in certain different industries. I mean, whichever industries, I think you can think of something that would draw back your client. And I think a lot of consumer, even in B2B businesses, because I believe you're doing B2B businesses, they themselves are at a loss because they themselves are thinking of pivoting and actually trying to reinvent themselves. They are at the loss about the sudden fragmentation of the marketplace, or sudden, I should say, the dissipation of the marketplace is kind of just dissipated in 2020 when the world went into lockdown. And I think for you to reach out to them to say that, hey, this is something we can do for you for free. There's something that it is no strings attached. I think that was the game changer, when especially you say that you do not have to come back to us for any contract. And I think that puts you away from people who were your competitors at that space, who were trying to figure out what they should be doing. So that sets you apart at that point. So can I also, in that sense, also draw the conclusion that 2020, 2021, and because the world is still trying to figure out what's happening, the market is still fragmented, and also a lot of the market is actually disrupted and dissipated. That's when time whereby you really have to find out yourself, your time that while you have to prepare yourself even before reaching out. I'm sure at that time, Ming Song, can you tell me, you were also trying to figure out what's your next step for your businesses, but you actually did that as one step that you think you can do for your clients. Am I right to say that?
I think honestly, I'm much more simpler person than this. I would just say, just do it and get things moving. And perhaps that's the thing about me not planning as much. Just do things that comes to mind, quickly
Mm-hmm.
get it done. Um, and I would like to tell you, the fact is, um, people say we are lucky, we got into the space that we are really knowledgeable about. But because the entire industry or entire climate has changed so much,
Mm,
many people are suffering in a way and not having the typical projects that they have. They're,
mm,
they're, undercut, they're undercutting, and they're coming into the industry. And we actually will have lost, and we have lost a lot of projects that would usually fall onto our
mm,
lap. But I took the mindset of, it's okay. They
mm,
need this a lot more than me.
mm,
They need this a lot more than me. Um, if they ask, I will share. And somehow miraculously, we entered and got into another tier of client base that we would never have imagined us acquiring in the past days.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this will be a very important point to come back to. How did these clients find you, and how did you reach out to these clients? I think that the Fortune 500 companies, and also I think as a business owner yourself, the question is costing. How did you control your cost when you know that you're running? The costs are all running. Even though you're in pandemic, you have bills to pay, you have your salary to pay, you have your overheads, etc. And yet, the future looks really, really fuzzy. Tell us about cost management at that time, and also now. Cost management at that time when business are in lockdown, and also when you are poised to grow. I'm very sure your cost management will shift something that you have not been before, because you are growing much bigger than you ever did before. So tell us about costing management, and then tell us about how did you reach out to these Fortune 500 companies?
So I'm thankful they reached out to me. Yeah, I I think um, it's all referrals. It's all referrals. We've done some work for people, and many of these people just referred. They heard of someone in these Fortune 500 companies wanting to look for someone like us. And then we just went in, did a few presentations and demos, and there came the projects. Yeah. Again, I don't know. I didn't do anything special. I didn't create an entire marketing campaign to market our services. I think we are still very poor at it. We are way more humble than what we can deliver. Yeah, there are many folks, pardon me for being a little bit negative in the next couple of sentences. There are many folks who brag a lot, but who can do so little.
Mm.
We are the total opposite. I think we are very, very humble. We tell people we cannot do a lot of things, and
Deliver.
we deliver.
Yeah, I like that to be one of our highlights, and also to be uh, hopefully one of our trademark of a Singaporean success story. I think, as the world does not know so much about Singapore, a lot of my co-hosts and a lot of viewers and listeners, they don't know about Singapore when I talk to them, because they ask, oh, is this part of Philippines? How far is it from Fiji? What's the closest point? And I always say this is not China. The first thing I would like to say to everyone, ladies and gentlemen who are tuning in right now, you're not talking to a Chinese channel, we're talking to Singapore. And like what you said, I think, I hope to highlight that point for any successful story out there. And I think, Ming Song, you brought a very important point in your introduction. You're dealing with people, companies, be it B2B, you're dealing with people, either B2B or B2C. Now, we have to assume already that these people would like to have someone who's authentic to work with them, and they see through fakeness. We're talking about the millennium. We're talking about people who have seen the world, have seen it all, they've done it all, they've gone to the sky and down, and left and right. Is there anything to the wool over anybody's eyes? And I think you're right. The only way to survive and thrive in the mid-pandemic and post-pandemic is to really be to tell the truth that you can do it or you can't do it. And this is what you said earlier in the last 5 minutes. I think delivering is so important, not over selling, over promising. And I think hopefully this is one of the trademarks of Singapore. We would like to not over promise, but yet I hope the word is we always want to deliver or over deliver beyond the expectations of whomever, your client, your friend, your family. I think this is one of the trademark of a true blue Singaporean. But I would think that this is a value that we bring to a business, right? You don't want to disappoint somebody, right? You don't want to like paint the sky. You don't want to be a boyfriend that says, or a husband that says, hey, I'm going to buy you the best diamond that is going to be like 13 carat or something, and then you can't deliver. And I think the value of a person is translated into the value of the company, especially so for a small SME, especially so a company that is that I should say that is the person who champions the business is the entrepreneur. The person who champions the business for the next survival, for the next phase, it is the owner of the business, it is the entrepreneur, it is the driver of the business. You bring with you your value, you bring with you your philosophy, and you bring with you and create that culture of the company. And I think that's a very beautiful story, even though no Ming Song, it's very simple, but to me it's a huge thing. Like for example, you reach out to your competitor and you said that, hey, it's just a text. It doesn't matter if the person doesn't reply. But you know, a lot of people have a lot of big egos. It's really hard for rejections. And, and when you try to reach out to someone, if people will think like, hey, maybe this person is trying to help me, is like, what will they think? A lot of unknowns will be in the people's mind because we don't know how the person thinks. And for you to do that, I think that's a thumbs up from me. And also for you to say that, hey, delivering, seeing through, following up. And I think this is such a beautiful story to tell. And, I echo that. And of course, I take away your conversation if you don't mind. That, this is something that we should highlight as one of the critical success factors, particularly in mid-pandemic and particularly post-pandemic, because only the strongest will survive, and only the strongest and the truest people who are true to themselves will pull themselves away from the competition. It's almost like I can visualize people are starting this 2.4, right? When we were in school, right, we run this race around the school field, right? 8 rounds, right, in the field. But it's only at the point whereby people start to really pull themselves away. That's when the real test comes. It's not really at the front end. Consistency, being true to yourself, and telling people these are the shortfalls. These are something that we cannot promise, but we will try our best. I think that is like what you say. These are probably in the past, in the pre-pandemic times. They are seen as companies that may not be the critical success factors, but I think in mid-pandemic and post-pandemic, I think they will be the critical success factors for any company to pull themselves away from the competition. Ming Song?
Definitely. And one other thing that I want to share is um, the world these days does not reward you for having 20 years of experience.
Mm,
The world these days rewards you for learning something and applying that thing immediately
current.
and making it work.
Yeah.
So I have said it a little the last week, but these days any company can pivot and become anything.
Yeah.
Take away the notion that you are in whatever business you used to be.
Mm,
Look at your resources. Many people envy me that I seem to have it going just because I seem to be doing something relevant. Um, but I have also seen people in similar states not knowing or not uh, taking immediate action to leverage the same exact resources
mm,
and getting things done. Do I know everything right from the start? No, I don't. But I stumble, I struggle, I fall, and
mm.
I get up quickly and I try again. I mean,
And I would like to echo you. Um, I would like to echo you on two fronts. Number one is that people only see uh, the success stories. They don't see the struggles. They don't see the point whereby there's so much hard work that has been plowed in for the last years, hoping that a turnaround, a point whereby the company becomes successful. People only see what's out there, the glamour or the exterior of it. It's just like when you go shopping center, they only see the showcase, they only see the display, but they don't see the hard work behind. And for that, I think to echo you, there's a lot of hard work for all successes, a lot of untold stories, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of blood and sweat. I know in the Chinese colloquialism to say, and also there's one saying, Ming Song, I'd like to share with you. Because we're going deep into this business philosophy. There's one saying, and I always listen to a motivator online since the last few years when I wasn't based in Singapore. About Les Brown, one of the motivators that I respect. It's about the Chinese bamboo. I'm not sure if you know about the story. But for ladies and gentlemen who are new to it, let me just tell you the story about the Chinese bamboo or the Chinese bamboo stick. The Chinese bamboo, they are buried in the ground, and you have to water the plant for 5 years, and you will not see anything breaking out from the ground for a Chinese bamboo. And you have to water it, and it takes 5 years of not seeing anything, not knowing if it's going to really happen, but plowing the water, the sunshine, taking care of it. And it's only at the 5th year that it starts to break from the ground. And when it breaks from the ground, within, I think, 5 weeks, it actually grows like 10 feet tall. That's where it breaks. And I think that story, that anecdote actually sticks in my mind. A lot of businesses are like this. It takes years and years for anyone to actually plow in that unseen returns, because you're just really, really plowing it. And it takes an X number of years that suddenly it breaks through the ground and it goes up to the sky in in 5 weeks, like a Chinese bamboo stick. And Chinese bamboo, they're strong, they're steely, they are flexible, but they can take a lot of weight. And that's the story that I would like to share with listeners and the viewers. If you do not see it breaking through the ground, I think do not lose heart. It will break through the ground when the time comes. And I think Ming Song has shared with us, his story about this Chinese bamboo stick that breaks through the ground. And I believe that for the last 10 years of your life, you've plowed in a lot of your effort. You've plowed in a lot of hard work, a lot of heartaches that people do not see. Am I right to say that?
Totally. There's so much heartaches. There's so many unseen stuff. I've fallen. I have bruised myself. But just get up and go.
Yeah.
If you're ready to be an entrepreneur, and this is something I heard somewhere, or this is something my friend shared with me. If you want someone to give you encouragement when the tough gets going, please don't be an entrepreneur, or you don't call yourself an entrepreneur. Yeah, you try to you pull your hand across your body and
Own
just give
back.
yourself a pat on the shoulder and move on.
Yeah, yeah.
No one's
Don't wait
going to
for other
pity you.
people.
No
Yeah,
one's going to pity you.
yeah.
You
And yeah.
do something.
And Ming Song, we're in this very deep conversation. We talked about growth. We talked about unseen hard work, the unseen hard work that is just waiting for the bamboo stick to break through the ground after X number of years, that you don't see anything at all. And of course, at that time, people will say that, hey, you are stupid. Why are you still plowing the ground? Why are you still watering the plant? I don't see anything. Why are you still sticking with it? I'm very sure a lot of people like yourself as an entrepreneur would have heard about that. That's and the life on us as an entrepreneur yourself, there must be a lot of stories, that that have stuck with you, that and there's a lot of and why an entrepreneur is so different from a person on a salaried paycheck, ladies and gentlemen. And I hear Ming Song, I like to share, and I would like to also echo Ming Song, because an entrepreneur, you are faced with an unknown. You are faced with tomorrow. You do not know whether you live or you die. You bring this up. You bring this to your brain. You bring this to your night. You bring this in the nightmares. And nobody goes through that journey of a lonely entrepreneur. They will not see that. And sometimes I just want to throw a question to Ming Song. Would you have come to a point, when you visit back in those days, that would you have times that you told yourself, hey, maybe I should go back to be a salaried worker, because getting the $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 is so much easier with so much certainty. At 9 to 5, you switch it off, you go back to work. There's nothing, and you can build, you can buy your condo, you can get your Mercedes in time. I'm very sure there are times whereby you go through that. Tell us about that.
Definitely, I've had uh, moments throughout the last couple of years that I have thought through what is the value I do have in the market, and what if I go back to work in working for others. They already have those things in place, and I maybe will try better given my skill sets. And I don't know. I think there is this feeling about creating something and doing it my
Mm,
way.
doing it
Um,
away.
that
Well said.
that that has that challenge. I think the sense of challenge is what
Mm,
drives what I thrive on,
mm,
um, and being able to offer a solution. And I think in my entire life, I wouldn't imagine being able to report to a, a larger organization, because I don't know, some of the clients that I work with, they are it's a culture I wouldn't enjoy. And not saying that most other companies are like that, but I've entered a few, and I want to be the one being able to craft and empower and allow that kind of culture to thrive and to build on. And it's a lovely joy seeing how you grow your baby in that sense.
and there's a lot of textbook debate, schools of thought that can entrepreneurs be made? Can entrepreneurs be how should I say? Can entrepreneurs be nurtured? Can entrepreneurs be made? Are entrepreneurs born? What makes an entrepreneur? I mean, that's a lot of debate about the art behind the science, and I do echo you. In some part of it, like what you say, you tried to be in an organization, but you felt that you needed to chart your own destiny. In some ways, you felt that you think you can do better. In some ways, you feel that you can create your own culture, your own business, not only your own destiny, but the destiny of a company, and also to bring people on board. I mean, it's the bottom line. The bottom line is you are so much bigger than what uh, people can see. That is what makes an entrepreneur. And I believe an entrepreneur has a lot of stories. Before we log off and we say goodbye to Ming Song, in the past I do have a series on entrepreneurs. Maybe one of these days when I take it up in 2021, I'll come back to you. Tell us, one or two stories in your mind that has actually stuck with you to build you stronger, to build you who you are, and to make you better prepared for bigger unknowns to come as an entrepreneur.
I know this is a very cruel thing to say, but entrepreneurs got to know that you are the captain of an entire ship, and you have to do what is best for the ship. If it means that you need to remove someone from the ship so that the ship will sail better, it's your job to do it. And I remember my very first time many years back, having to do the very tough job of removing someone from the team. Again, I know this is the times where every rice bowl matters to every single working person out there. But know that you need to learn how to do it if you need to. And nobody wants to do it. But if you want the ship to sail on course, that's one of the things that you have to be prepared to do. Yeah, because um, in my years of running, sometimes it just takes a rotten egg. It doesn't mean that he's rotten. He's just not the right fit at this moment. Wish him well. He could thrive and he will thrive in another environment. It's just not the right environment. for both for him and for the company. So it doesn't mean that, don't take it personally, doesn't mean that he's bad. He's just not a right fit. And it actually might and often will turn things for the better. But you have to be the one who's going to take on this hard conversation and initiate this. And especially as a smaller company, you have the luxury to do this. I know in large organizations there are lots of approvals to be made in order to remove someone from an organization, especially the unionized ones.
Yeah.
But as a smaller company and a privately owned company, you have this luxury, and having that courage to do that often can bring you the next right person on board who will open up that space to move your organization much faster, much better forward.
I've got a final question before I let you go. Actually, this is the crux of our conversation have veered in has grown from the last episode to the beginning of the last uh, 40 minutes or so, and now the last 15 minutes. I thought it has gone really deep as an entrepreneur. I want to ask you, Ming Song, and you are married, right? With kids, and it must, and these are real things that people do not see. And I would like to ask you a couple of questions. I mean, non-confidential. I'm very sure as a father of two kids and also with a wife, there must be times you become so hard that compared to when you were first young, coming out as an entrepreneur, that you think you want to chart this and you want to like strive and you want to test out yourself, you want to test your limit, push your buttons and all this. So I'm very sure that the scenario has changed. Because the eggs in a basket. You're talking about more eggs in one basket now. And tell me, how do you manage? And what's the dynamics now as an entrepreneur because the backdrop has changed?
Except that there's never a balance. There's no such thing as work-life balance. Accept it. Arrange your life around everything that has to happen, and it's true. In the past, when I was still single and not married, I work through weekends and stuff like that, and that's enjoyable for me. But when I got married, and especially after having kids, I definitely have to block out my weekends as much as I possibly can. But as and when there are projects that arises that requires my time, sometimes I bring my kids on projects alongside, and that's how they can understand what I do. Yeah.
Okay, and to make it more real, I would like to ask, were there times whereby you find that um, it's hard for you to manage financially? Was it tough for you because you have to plan for the future, the kids' money, school fees, the education fees, and then maybe a wife that I mean, I'm very sure she's supportive. That's why you are on such a long journey. But there will be times whereby the doubt sets in. How do you manage these mental and real physical, physiological challenges?
Again, maybe I have a very simple mind. Accept it as it goes. Leave things within what you can, within your lifestyle, and if I want to be rich in terms of monetary sense, I would
Mm.
not have made many of the decisions I've made. I always tell this to my colleagues whom I hire. If I want to be rich, I will have a very small team. I I know I can still attract the same amount from clients personally, and I just have a large freelance pool that I depend on, and I'll be 10 times richer.
Mm. You
Yeah,
don't have
but
You don't have to pay CPF, right?
Yeah, but I'm not here to be rich in running my company. I'm here to have a team, to build people, to have camaraderie under one roof, and to have a happy family. And uh, I want to be rich in another sense of word lah.
Mm.
Yeah, if I really, really want to be rich monetarily, this is not the path I would have chosen.
Mm. Yeah, and you haven't answered my question about cost management earlier on. So no, but I'm not going to take too much of your time. Ming Song has been such a wonderful time, and I usually like to push my questions to the real end, because it's so much learning. Especially, I would like to bring you up, and flash you up to the viewers. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. It's never. And if people see you get enjoyment of your success right now, because they do not see the 10 years of hard work before the bamboo stick breaks up from the ground. And I'm very sure that mental strength that you have, and even when you say, oh, it's a very simple, but I'm very sure it took a lot of strength from you to actually be able to survive the last 10 years of your business, and then to see it through to the best growth of your time right now. In the next, I mean, this conversation can go on because I enjoy so much such a conversation with you, and I enjoy real people who have gone through challenges and to relate the challenges out, because these conversations we have, they are rare. You don't really talk about it over coffee with a friend. Neither do you talk about it coffee with your wife. It's not something that you enjoy to talk about, but it's something that is very needed for growth, something very needed for all of us to evaluate our journey behind us, and also to assess the situation behind us, and then to draw power, to draw them as resource to actually move forward, whichever is relevant and adaptable. Ming Song, I enjoy so much to talk with you. I hope to come back to you in other series in 2021. Talks that can uplift the human spirit and uplift the soul of the human. But that entrepreneur has a lot of stories to tell, because I would think that in mid-pandemic and post-pandemic, there's going to be a whole host of people who's going to be entrepreneurs of their lives for the first time, because the circumstances demand that. Because the circumstances say that, hey, the jobs are being taken over by robots, the jobs are being outsourced, the bots are taken over by AI, or the jobs simply just dissipate in the air through disruptions of technology, softwares, business models, or disruptions of the pandemic. So I hope to invite you again to talk about this journey of an entrepreneur. But what goes on in an entrepreneur mindset, I'm always so intrigued. I've done a few episodes with women entrepreneurs, and also with tailing viewers. Please look out videos of all these people below. You got to scroll it. But Ming Song, I'd like to invite you again to talk about all these journeys, that we should document that for eternity. Ming Song, would you like to wrap this up in the next 2 minutes before we say goodbye?
Right. So for all of the listeners out there, I think I'll go back to what I earlier said. Is a mindset thing. Shift your mindset. Reach out to people you know. You never know when it's too late,
Mm,
and learn
that's
and
true.
relearn. Be prepared to fall a little, and keep giving and give and give and give until it will come back. It will not come back in the same direction. It will come back in a different direction.
In a different direction. Well
Because the
said.
way I've given away, these people would refer other folks. Give without expecting, and it will come back. Trust the
Okay.
trust the laws of the universe. It comes back. It just doesn't come back in the same direction. Yeah.
I think it's so well said. I love the quote of the week: just give and give and give without expecting, and the universe, will recognize that it will come back, and probably in a different form, different direction, and in a totally unexpected way. So very well said, Ming Song. I would like to thank you for 2 episodes from Singapore LiveCast. And I'm sure viewers and listeners, you will learn something from this, adapt it, hear it, watch it, share it, and also click back and then watch again. Click back, watch again. Click and watch, click and watch. Thank you so much, Ming Song. I would like to thank you for your honesty, the generosity of sharing all these stories. And this is the weekend for the February special LiveCast International YouTube TV. We have an international panel, and Ming Song, Mr. Ang, is one of them. I'm honored to have that he's able to share unreservedly a lot of things with the listeners and the viewers. And this videos like this in the pandemic, it is so much more meaningful because it registers human history at this point, and it's going to be part of the anthropology of human history in time to come, and it's now registered in the internet. So it is very meaningful. It registers people through what is going on in their lives. And if Ming Song and your friends and people who are listeners and the viewers and the sharers, you watch below the video the 30 episode, more than 30 episode about the global pandemic, whereby I interview people all over the world. Watch this, the struggles, the anxieties, the fears, situations that people go through, and it tells us that we are more alike than different. And now with this February special with Ming Song as one of our panel, I'm so honored and so thankful to God that we bring the whole panel in this February special in Singapore. So I would like to invite Ming Song to hello and goodbye on Sunday with the whole team, and probably with just some of the team who can make it, to say a hello and goodbye to mark the end of such a series that is unprecedented in the world, that no one has seen it from the people, from us. Let's give Ming Song a big round of applause. Thank you for sharing, and in this episode, when your children grow up, I'm sure they will watch.
Thank you for inviting. Yeah, it was truly a great show. Thank you for doing all of this unreservedly as well. You really walked the talk.
Yeah. Thank you. And I would like to thank God for the strength that I'm supporting 12 co-hosts. It's an MMA for me to be doing this, for the February special live cast. But it is a challenge. But, I see it that as we are documenting this for humanity and for mankind and for each and every one of us. Thank you once again, Ming Song. I see you, and please stay safe, Ming Song and family and wife and children.
Okay, bye.
Okay, hello, and we'll see